Hey, listeners, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Unknown. I'm your host, Jolie,
And I'm Quinn.
and today we're going to talk about the Richins, a suburban picture perfect family from Camas, Utah, that was struck by tragedy when Eric suddenly passed away. Stay tuned as we unravel this twisted story and uncover the truth behind Richins, Eric Richins' death.
You're gonna struggle with that. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to say Richins, Rickens, no, Richins, and just use
Richin.
those audio clips.
It's Richin.
Richins. The story begins on March 4th, 2022, with a young couple named Eric and Corey Richins. Oh my
Richins.
God, Richins, money, 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 rich,
Fired up
rich, rich.
again.
The story begins on March 4th, 2002, with a young couple named
Nope,
Eric.
2022.
Fuck my life. The story begins on March 4th, 2022, with a young couple named Eric and Corey Richins in Camas, Utah. Corey, age 33, bought and flipped properties, and tonight her and her husband Eric, age 39, decided to celebrate the sale of one of her properties as their three children slept. The pair drank a Moscow Mule and in bed until their son cried out for his mother to comfort him. God, was I writing this
What?
drunk? Yeah. The pair drank a Moscow Mule in bed, and until their son cried out for his mother to comfort him, Cor- I'm just trying to wing it because I messed it up. All I want to say is that they drank a Moscow Mule in bed,
Then the
and
son
then
cried out.
and
Corey went to
then
comfort him.
take out the word until. The pair drank a Moscow Mule in bed, and then their young son cried out for his mother to comfort him because he was having a bad dream, so Corey went into his room and slept there for the night. When she returned to her bedroom, Eric, her husband, was unresponsive. He wasn't breathing, he had no pulse, he was dead.
What?
So, how does a 39-year-old with no major health issues suddenly pass away? Well, when the medical examiner performed an autopsy, it showed that Eric passed from a fentanyl overdose. This was super shocking, though, because Eric wasn't a known abuser to friends and family. But
I mean,
let's take
it
a.
isn't,
No,
sorry.
you go. No, you go.
Just like it is a popular drug right now. Like fentanyl's hot.
It is super popular, and you see a lot of younger people getting hooked on it.
hmm
Um, and I guess
Easy to
maybe this
die
is
from it, is my understanding, especially if you're kind of not used to it.
why is that? Is it just like what does it do to
It's
you?
so potent. It's a narcotic, so it's like a really, really strong version of like morphine. So it basically just completely suppresses all of the things and you stop breathing.
Okay. Okay. And it's used for like pain management too, like morphine.
Yep, that's the original intended use for all of these things. But if you're
Yeah.
following anything kind of in social media and all the movies and net like documentaries, it's all focusing on all the negative effects of that and how it was marketed to us as a population is not really how it should have been used.
Mm. Yep, I'm hooked on those docu-series right now.
Me too.
But let's take a step back for now to understand a bit more about who Eric was. Eric was born on May 13th, 1982, to first-time parents Jean and Linda, who were cattle farmers in Utah. He had two younger sisters named Katie and Amy, who he remained very close with. Before his passing, Eric was described as very athletic and even coached all of his son's sports teams. He was very adventurous and loved a challenge, and he was known to be an outdoorsman and an avid hunter. Eric was known to be the kind of guy that loved to live life to the fullest and didn't take himself too seriously. His laugh was memorable, and he was so kind to everyone around him. And Eric, like many in Utah, was a religious man, a part of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He attended the University of Utah, where he majored in international studies with a minor in Spanish, receiving his degree in 2011. And 2 years prior, he formed a company with his best friend Cody Wright called C&E Stone Masonry. C for Cody and E for Eric.
Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome. Uh, Corey, Eric's wife, was born April 20th, 1990, also in Utah. Eric met Corey while she worked at Home Depot. They were actually introduced by a coworker of Corey's, Linda King. And on June 15th, 2013, so a couple of years after he graduated, they married in their backyard about 1 year after having their first son, Carter. As some do, the couple signed a prenuptial agreement, and together they shared 3 sons, Carter, age 9, Ashton, age 7, and Weston, age 5. So they seemed like a pretty average American family. And from the outside looking in, Eric and Corey Richins were like most typical married couples. They were well rounded people, meeting somewhat young, having children, and growing their careers together before this sudden and shocking fentanyl overdose.
Yeah, seems like it came out of nowhere, hey?
Yeah. A year after her husband's death, Corey Richins published a 41-page book called Are You With Me?, to which she dedicated to her amazing husband and a wonderful father. The former Amazon description of the book said it was written to create peace and comfort for children who lost a loved one, like her own children. And on a talk show, she described the process of writing this book with her children to try to process the unexpected death of her husband and the children's father. These books became somewhat popular, and Corey was given center stage to talk about how sudden loss and grief has impacted her family. And this didn't sit too well with Eric's family.
Why?
Remember when I said that he wasn't a known abuser?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, his supposed addiction wasn't something that they thought he just hid in plain sight. He was super close with his sisters and family, and of course, he worked with his best friend. Somebody would have noticed this. But it's not just that somebody would have noticed, it's that they actually thought he was poisoned by his wife, Corey.
Okay, that's a pretty big accusation. And honestly, she seems like a sweetie writing that children's book, and I don't know, no
Yeah,
red flags.
it was like a grieving wife.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to this, and I'm gonna to the night of um, back it up to the night of Eric's death, because I just told you her side of the story, but we're
Okay.
missing, an affidavit and other reports of what went on. So on March 4th, 2022, Eric and his wife Corey had drinks at home to celebrate the recent house sale. Corey made them each a Moscow Mule, and Eric supposedly took the Moscow Mule and drank it in bed, like I said. But an affidavit later states that Eric had 1 shot of alcohol and a THC gummy. According to Corey, she fell asleep in her son's room as she was comforting him, and later that night around 3 a.m., she awoke, went to her room, and Eric Richins was found unresponsive in the couple's bedroom. She said that she attempted CPR, but due to all the blood around his mouth, examiners feel like it's unlikely that she did because she was not covered in blood.
Um, and I feel
Yeah.
like if you were like if that happened to me and I saw my loved one and gave them like CPR and did like the mouth to mouth moment, I would still be covered in their blood. So I'm not taking time to wash that off. You're calling 911.
Yeah.
You're just
You're
you're
doing
in
it
the
until
moment.
they get there.
Yeah.
Yep. I,
Sketch.
mhm. Additionally, her cell phone activity would suggest that she was not sleeping when she said she was sleeping. So she said that she fell asleep in her son's bedroom. Well, apparently not. Medical examiners would later find out, no, medical examiners would later find that his blood levels contained fentanyl levels 5 times the lethal dose.
That's a lot. Like
So
you go.
it's a lot. It could be that he's a very experienced fentanyl user, and maybe built up a tolerance and took a lot. I'm not sure. Or it's his first time and he doesn't know the limit or whatever, but it just seems unusual to take that much in either
If
scenario.
Well, if he is a known user, I don't know if you've ever heard of this phenomenon. I learned about it in one of my, I think, drugs and behavior psychology class back in the day. And if you're someone who's a drug user and you're typically doing the drugs in the same environment, so you're sitting in the same room, in an apartment, on the same mattress, you will build up a tolerance, obviously,
Hmm.
doing the same drug. But if you suddenly take that same amount of drugs at a really high volume and go to a different environment, it will be lethal.
What?
Because yes, because not always, but it can happen. It's a phenomenon because when you're in the environment, you're used to taking an absorbently high amount of drugs, your body starts to almost like precondition itself and it starts to kind of like know it's coming. So
Hmm.
maybe making changes to your heart rate or this and that to like prep itself, like it knows it's coming. Whereas you go in this new environment, it's like, what the shit? And you die. So it
Wow.
often happens when you see when people it shows it plays out in some of those Netflix documentaries or the Amazon one maybe when
Hmm.
people are like, okay, I just want that last hit and I'm going to go into rehab and they
Yeah.
go do it in the parking lot of rehab and then they die and it's like it's often that.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
crazy.
Yeah, very interesting. Sorry, it totally took us off track.
Well, no, that's cool. Another thing that was unusual is Eric's obituary, written by Corey, although very positive, contained a few unusual pieces. One, she focused on how reckless he was, saying he owned every recreational motor vehicle and had lots of injuries. When have you read an obituary where someone's talking about injuries that,
Right?
weren't? Yeah, it's so weird.
Like he was a reckless guy. Like no.
Yeah. She also said he would show up to events missing his socks or sleeves due to having to take emergency bathroom breaks in his obituary.
Like it's a funny joke you maybe tell at someone's like, I don't know, 40th birthday party to make fun of them.
Not
Like
like
I don't
written, printed, handed out to family, put in the newspaper.
published
Unusual.
online.
Yeah. And another thing that I couldn't figure out again in his obituary is it says the following. Eric Richins made his last extravagant and largely unexpected gesture on March 4th, 2022, signing off on a life, in his own words, lived to the fullest and with few regrets. Does this mean he
What?
wrote a note? Like, I'm so confused by this
Like
statement.
he it almost seems like he left a suicide note.
Yeah. And on a Reddit forum, people are speculating that his wife had written this, but they don't understand if he left a note or not. So, yeah, it's
Weird.
really weird. There is
Also weird
no
to put that in
note.
an obituary. Like, by
Yeah,
the way, he left a note. He left a suicide note. Like,
it's
seems sketch.
so weird. If you ever have to write an obituary about me, just say nice things only.
I'm gonna say you shit your pants.
Um,
Also, let's not talk about that. I'm not writing a fucking obituary for you.
Sure, that's on Mike.
No, but no one is. I'm going first.
Other unusual things that point the finger to Corey from the perspective of Eric's sisters is that 2 days after his death, a locksmith was called to the house to drill into Eric's safe, containing anywhere from $125,000 to $165,000 in cash. Weird that you would need to drill into that safe so urgently for money and you don't have
Yeah.
the code from your husband.
Yeah. Like, I feel like if you were married, your finances would be a little bit more like, I don't know, cohesive.
Not in a safe, you know?
Yeah, like, get out of here.
Unusual. But I could understand maybe like you're in such a tizzy, your husband passed, maybe I don't know why the funds would be locked up so much. You need money for like a funeral planning. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, good point.
Me being a devil's advocate. Katie, Eric's sister, asked Corey to leave the safe alone, but was apparently punched in the face and the neck by Corey.
Violent.
Yeah. Yeah, insane. The police were called, and the attorney for Eric's estate became involved as upon Eric's death, a clause in his estate and trust was triggered to make his sister Katie Richins Benson the head trustee.
What?
Thanks for reading that. It was quite confusing to sort out because if you recall, the couple had a prenup, but the prenup apparently stated that Corey would gain control over all financial assets should Eric die, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Given her brother's sudden death and all of the unusual ongoings prior, Katie hired a private investigator to look at Corey and find out what exactly happened because the thought of a fentanyl overdose, like I said, wasn't sitting right. That just wasn't in his nature. And it would be really unusual for him to hide something like that so well from his family. Not saying people who struggle with addiction can't hide things like that from their family members, but he was just really close with his sisters, his business partner, his wife. Everyone said that that was out of character. So
And how would you like support a fentanyl habit so intense that you could do 5 times the amount or think you could and like be coaching sports and like I don't know. I just think you would have a hard time keeping up with not just your work but your personal life too.
I know. If you're doing fentanyl, please let it. No, I'm kidding.
No, Joe, we're not gonna reach out for
No,
that
I'm kidding.
one. No.
Uh, Upon closer and
Uh,
oh, that'd be so ridiculous. Upon closer inspection, things started to look somewhat suspicious from a financial perspective. At the time of Eric's death, Corey owed at least $1.8 million to a lender, and there's more, $514,000 to Eric himself, and $189,000 or a little bit more in state and federal tax liabilities. These debts were to fund her real estate career pursuit of flipping houses, and the financial struggle seemed to backdate as early as 2015, so a few years after they were married. But it likely started earlier because that's just so much money.
yes, it's a lot.
Corey had apparently purchased at least 4 insurance policies between the years 2015 and 2017 on her husband without his knowledge, totaling almost 2 million US dollars.
That's a lot. I
That's a
should find
lot.
out if Chris has any policies out on me if he's planning anything.
Yeah, how do I look that up, Mike? How
Yeah,
many do you
Mike,
have on
Chris,
me?
what's going on?
Should I take out some?
Yeah, we probably should.
Despite having lack of finances, Corey opened her real estate business in 2019. And in 2020, Eric realized that Corey had obtained a $250,000 home equity line of credit on their home.
That's nuts.
How do you not talk about that? Like, that's so shady to be
It's
like, yeah, I took
sketchy.
out this loan on top of our. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
very unusual. She forged his signature, obtaining a fraudulent power of attorney, another great sign. And you're going to love this. She also withdrew at least $100,000 from his personal bank account and racked up over $30,000 of credit card debt on Eric's credit cards.
How did he not notice those two things?
Yeah, how do you not notice? And what are you buying? Like, I can
Yeah.
understand, like, you might have like debts from your business, but if you're flipping and selling homes, aren't you trying to pay that off? Like, why are you
No,
digging yourself into a bigger hole?
apparently not.
What's going on these credit cards? It's crazy. She was also, oh, she also was given some intentional access to his funds and must have had some role in the financial aspect of his business because she was able to steal over $134,000 that was actually meant to be paid in tax payments through the business. But these taxes obviously were never paid, and she took that money for herself. But to do what with? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she used it to pay off her debts or to continue on this like random spending spree. Like, did it go towards her business? Personal? I have no idea.
I love how hyper focused you are on what she's doing with the money. Like you're so upset. Like, where is
No,
it going, Corey? What are you doing?
it makes no sense to me. Like, whenever I hear stories of like this, it's like, okay, well, did you buy a house, a car? Like, I that's a lot of money to just disappear. And then also you have this amazing, not amazing, you've amassed such a large sum of debt. What the hell?
What's your plan, bro? I don't know. Maybe she's a gambler.
Ooh, I didn't even think of that.
That you could drop some major cash gambling.
Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm just like, what are you buying all
You're
the stuff? He doesn't
so
notice your house
upset.
is filling
What?
up.
Oh my God.
After all of these unusual money dealings, Eric confronted Corey about the money, and she apparently agreed to pay it back. At least I think for the stuff that she took from his personal accounts. Although she was using the money to fund her business endeavors, quote unquote business endeavors, like what? Where's this going? It's also suspected that she knew their relationship was on the rocks and was looking to manipulate the marital assets. In October of 2020, Eric consulted both a divorce lawyer and an estate planning lawyer. He formed a living trust and made changes to his will. He placed the estate under the control of his sister, Katie, and then he transferred his partnership interest in his business to his living trust instead of from like Eric himself, as well as $500,000 for his life insurance policy, or that would get paid out from his life insurance policy. But Corey was not aware that Eric had made all of these changes. Eric and his business partner, Cody, each had $2 million life insurance policies with each other because they were the beneficiary and they were in business together. So if one of them died, they have money to continue running while the other person's not there. So they're really close and they're really focused on making sure that this business stays alive too in the event that they pass and that their families are kind of covered. And they had that life insurance policy out since they founded their company in around 2009. In January of 2022, apparently Corey had changed the beneficiary to herself illegally.
Of course she did.
And when Eric realized what she had done, he had the beneficiary changed back to his business partner, Corey. So can you imagine, like,
She
one, I'm finding
crazy.
out that Mike has like illegally changed, I don't know, from you to him as a beneficiary, and then I change it back. Just like, what do you,
And you're
okay,
just living
something's
together
going
in the
on
same
here.
house. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Realizing she probably wasn't going to get the $2 million life insurance policy, she applied for a new $100,000 life insurance policy, so significantly lower, but yet another policy taken out on Eric's life without his knowledge. I think that
Jeez.
should be illegal. Like, if you're taking it out on somebody, I want to be contacted. And I'm sure that he probably had to like sign it and she forged it. But
That's what
could
I
there be
mean.
some other check? Like, call me,
Well, she's
hear my voice.
forging and she forged to get power of attorney. So that means she's just on his behalf for
Wow,
everything. Anything she does, it's almost easy now.
that's crazy. It seems as though on Valentine's Day of February 14th, 2022, so less than a month before Eric's death, the couple were trying to mend their crumbling relationship. Corey placed a homemade sandwich on the seat of Eric's truck with a love note. After eating the sandwich, Eric became severely ill and had to administer one of their son's EpiPens on himself. There's even text message evidence that Eric suspected that his wife had tried to poison him and, in fact, suspected she had attempted to do so on multiple occasions.
Okay. They're just married. They're just together. And he's cool with that?
Uh, yeah. So I read some places online that he didn't want to be married to Corey anymore, but was staying in the marriage for the sake of their children and didn't want them to grow
Oh,
up in like a broken family. And although I think
okay.
that that's like a nice gesture, you hear that so many times where people are like, I don't want my family to grow up like
Yeah.
in a broken state. But no, I think you're in a pretty chaotic state. Like, I don't think divorce means broken Because would you rather your kids stay in a psychotic environment where one spouse is trying to poison and financially, I don't know,
Ruin.
brutalize the other, yeah, ruin the other partner, just so you can stay together and they have this weird illusion? I feel like that would be weirder when you grow up and they separate and you learn all of this stuff.
A
It's
thousand
weird.
percent. I don't think people always see it that way. They don't see that apart people are healthier, better versions of themselves. They're just so focused on this traditional family unit. So I agree with you. Like, I don't
Yeah.
see why that's such a common trend, but hey, he was pretty religious, so it might be from that
Mm,
perspective as well.
true. And we're coming from the other perspective of both being children of divorce and being like,
Yeah,
yeah, I think that's fine.
yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So after that sandwich event, and likely many other potential poisonings, Eric went as far as to tell his family if something were to happen to him, it was Corey.
That's insane. Like, if I ever said to you, like, oh, if I die, like, make sure you check on my husband there. Like, you need to get out of that relationship.
Uh-huh. Like, obviously, if someone passes, they always check the partner or the spouse like first.
Yeah.
But, just like because it's common. But yeah, if you told me that, I'd be like, I'm calling the police now.
Yes, I would hope that you would.
Yeah. After Eric's death, damning evidence against Corey continued to be uncovered. Cell phone data shows that Corey contacted someone in her phone labeled as CL for fentanyl in February of 2022. How many people in your phone could you contact and get fentanyl from?
I feel like
Just
I couldn't just
nobody.
text someone and be like, hey, get me this controlled banned contraband right away. Like, she obviously is up to something
Yeah,
beyond
because they're
just
a
that.
religious family in Utah. They're young. They're not partiers. They
Yeah.
have children. And you can text someone to get fentanyl?
You just have
No
that
questions
hookup.
asked?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, that's sketchy. I feel like, again, like maybe she uses fentanyl.
maybe, yeah. Apparently, Corey told CL that the, oh wait, I missed
You
a line.
forgot the CL was tracked
Yeah.
down.
CL was tracked down and said that she hand delivered the fentanyl to Corey on either February 11th or the 12th of 2022. So, like the day that she poisoned him with the sandwich. And apparently, Corey told CL that the pills were not strong enough and requested stronger fentanyl. So she bought fentanyl on the day that this sandwich incident went down. Eric got really sick, administered his EpiPen, so like adrenaline. So would
Yeah,
that
yeah.
counteract fentanyl? Yeah,
It
it's
wouldn't
like
counteract it,
naloxone
but
or
it might
whatever.
like no, it wouldn't like be naloxone, but it could maybe help just like get your system going. I don't know.
Wow,
Obviously it
that'd be
did
so
something.
scary. Yeah. And then she messages the same person for more fentanyl. Fishy.
Yeah.
On March 9th or 10th, CL claims that she left the requested pills at the home's backyard fire pit after receiving a backdated check from Corey for $1,300. Corey Google search. Sorry, I'm going to backtrack. $1,300 for a woman who has $1.8 million in debt. Where are you getting this from?
You can't let that go. Girl, if anything comes of this, you gotta find out. Sorry, cut that because I'm saying that nothing's come of it yet. Cut that. Never mind.
No, it's okay. She allegedly, oh wait, Corey's Google search history was also somewhat concerning. She allegedly looked up, can cops uncover deleted messages iPhone? And what are you allowed inside Utah jails? And the most damning, what is considered a lethal dose of fentanyl?
Yes, that is the most damning, but the what are you allowed inside Utah jails? Is she like packing a bag for her like
Yeah,
stay in jail? Like what?
yeah, or like already planning an escape if she were to get imprisoned.
Oh, yeah, sketchy.
Either unusual, when then your next search is what's a lethal dose of fentanyl. Just
Yeah.
get your priorities in order. Are you killing someone? Are you preparing to go to jail?
What's your plan?
Yeah. Over 1 year later, on May 8th, 2023, Corey was arrested on charges of aggravated murder and 3 counts of possession of a controlled substance with intent to distribute. So,
Intent to distribute.
yeah, I can't
So
tell
not
if she still
administer.
had some on her or,
Yeah.
yeah. She
Pay
was
off that
taken.
debt.
Seriously, though, I have like a lot of anxiety for them. Her. She was taken to custody at Summit County Hale in Park City, Utah, while awaiting trial. On August 18th, 2023, this past summer, the family decided not to pursue the death penalty, a decision made by Eric's sister and father. However, evidence continues to emerge that paint a pretty clear picture for Corey, if you ask me. On September 18th, 2023, it was found that Corey asked her brother to provide a false story about Eric buying drugs, trying to build that little case that maybe he was
Yeah.
actually an addict. And
Sketchy.
most recently, Corey's antipsychotic prescription for wait,
Quetiapine. I messed
quit.
that spelling up.
I wouldn't have gotten it anyways.
There. Just
Corey's
quetiapine.
antipsychotic prescription for quetiapine was also found in Eric's system during the autopsy, so slipped into his Moscow mule. Quetiapine is prescribed for things like bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and other mental health diagnoses. This medication was prescribed to Corey and not Eric. It is not clear what the formal indication of her being prescribed this medication. However, a warrant has been issued to search her medical records for more details. Interesting.
And she could have been giving him that earlier because quetiapine wouldn't just like come and go out of the system. Like she could have given him that and been like dosing him that a while ago because it would make you a little drowsy as well.
Makes sense. And because I can't let go of their financial ruin and all of the shadiness that Corey's hiding, no, not that she's hiding, more for financial struggles. Katie, Eric's sister, is formally suing Corey for 13 million US dollars because of all of the money stolen from Eric's estate.
Fair.
And Corey is suing Eric's estate for half of the value of the marital home as well as the proceeds from the sale of the business C&E Masonry. And another piece is a family, Alec and Taryn Wright. They bought Eric and Corey's home for around 409,000 US dollars, I believe, after Eric passed. I'm not sure. And they're claiming that she knowingly sold them a home that was infested with poisonous mold, and that in order to fix the problem, it would cost them more than the house was worth. Additionally, they've stated that they've suffered a series of medical issues linked to the mold and are facing financial ruin themselves to fix the problem. But Corey denies all of these allegations.
Fair enough.
So aside from like being charged with potential murder or these other things, he's getting sued left, right, and center.
As she should.
Yeah.
Sketchball.
So there you have it. This seemingly perfectly, oh my, I put dot 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 because I was going to fill it in later.
You got
I'll make it
this. You
up.
can wing it.
This seemingly perfect family was hiding many, no, I don't know what to say. I'll figure it out later. So, what do you think? Would Corey have gotten away with it had she not had her phone searched? Oh, that's you.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Beyond the Unknown. If you have a story you'd like to share, please email us at moody.mediaprod@gmail.com or reach out on Instagram. Who knows, your story might be featured in our next episode.
All of our sources for this episode can be found on our website, beyondtheunknownpod.com. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and leave us a review.
Until next time, listeners, stay curious and remember that the unknown is always just beyond the shadows. Bye.
Bye.